Welcome to today's episode. Tonight, we are going to talk about time. Not the time on clocks, not schedules or deadlines, but the long, quiet way humans first learned to notice time at all. Before numbers, before hours, before calendars. Because for most of human history, time was not something you measured. It was something you felt. In this series, we will move slowly through how humans learned to understand time, not as an invention, but as a gradual shift in attention. We will explore this journey in 5 gentle stages. First, a time before time was counted, when light, darkness, hunger, and rest shaped daily life. Second, the sun and the seasons, and how shadows taught humans to wait. Third, night, fire, and shared evenings, when time became something people experienced together. Fourth, counting, calendars, and control, when time began to feel predictable and sometimes heavy. And finally, the modern world, where time surrounds us constantly, even though our bodies are still ancient. There will be no urgency here, no productivity, no pressure, just understanding. Because understanding time often makes it feel gentler. Before we go any further, I want to say something quietly. If these slow episodes help you rest, or give you a place to return to at the end of the day, supporting the channel in whatever way feels natural to you helps this space continue. There is no pressure at all. Just thank you for being here. Now we can begin. Long before humans measured time, they lived inside it. The earliest humans did not wake up at a specific hour. They woke when light arrived. They did not plan days in advance. They responded to what the world offered. Time was not separate from life. It was woven into it. Morning felt different from night. Not because of clocks, but because of temperature, sound, and light. The body knew when it was time to move. The body knew when it was time to rest. This knowledge was not conscious. It lived in sensation, warmth on the skin, cool air before dawn, the pull of fatigue after long movement. These were the first markers of time. Hunger was another. The body learned patterns. After waking, energy was low. After eating, strength returned. As daylight faded, movement slowed. Time was not counted, it was anticipated. This anticipation was gentle. There was no need to hurry. If food was not found immediately, waiting was part of life. Waiting was not empty. It was attentive. Early humans waited while watching the land, while listening to wind, while noticing animals. Time passed without resistance. This is important. When time is not measured, it does not feel like something slipping away. It feels like something unfolding. Night brought a different relationship with time. Darkness limited vision. Sound became more important. Without artificial light, the night encouraged stillness. Sleep arrived naturally, not because a schedule demanded it, but because the body softened. Rest was lighter, responsive. Time at night moved slowly. There was no sense of being late, only presence. This way of living shaped the nervous system. Humans evolved to sense time internally. Hormones responded to light. Energy followed cycles. Memory linked events together. This internal timing remains with us. Even now, the body knows when it is night, even when clocks say otherwise. This is why sudden alarms feel intrusive. They interrupt a rhythm older than numbers. In this first stage, time had no units, no minutes, no hours. There was only sequence, before and after, light and dark, movement and rest. Life was organized but not quantified. This did not make it chaotic. It made it fluid. Fluid time allows the body to settle. It reduces tension. There is no sense of falling behind. only the sense of being where you are. As this first part comes to a close, it is enough to hold this image. A human waking as the sky lightens, moving when warmth returns, resting as darkness settles. No numbers involved, just the slow agreement between body and world. In the next part, we will see how humans began to look upward. How the sun, the moon, and the seasons quietly taught humans how to wait. For now, you don't need to track time. You can simply let it pass. In the first stage, time was felt through the body. Light arrived, darkness followed, hunger rose and faded. Nothing needed to be counted. But as humans began to stay longer in one place, something subtle changed. Patterns became easier to notice. The sun did not rise randomly. It followed a path. Each morning, light returned from roughly the same direction. Each evening, it disappeared in a familiar way. Humans began to notice this not because they were curious, but because their lives depended on it. Warmth arrived with light. Cold followed darkness. Knowing when the sun would return meant knowing when activity was possible. This was the beginning of time awareness outside the body. Not numbers yet, just observation. Shadows were the first quiet teachers. A shadow stretches long in the morning. It shortens as the sun climbs. It lengthens again as the day fades. No one measured these shadows at first. They simply noticed them. A place that was shaded earlier would be lit later. A rock that cast a certain shape would cast it again tomorrow. This repetition mattered. It allowed anticipation without urgency. Waiting became a skill. Not passive waiting, but attentive waiting. Early humans waited for the sun to rise higher before traveling. They waited for shadows to shorten before resting. They waited for light to soften before returning to shelter. Time became something that could be watched. The sun also introduced seasons. Days lengthened and shortened slowly. Temperatures shifted. Plants appeared and disappeared. Animals moved differently. These changes did not happen suddenly. They unfolded over many days. This taught humans patience. Seasons could not be rushed. They required endurance. Knowing that cold would eventually pass made waiting possible. This long-scale waiting shaped the nervous system. It reduced panic. It encouraged trust in cycles. Time, at this stage, was not something humans controlled. It was something they aligned with. The moon added another layer. Unlike the sun, the moon changed shape. It grew. It shrank. It disappeared and returned. This was striking. The moon offered a visible rhythm in the night. Night was no longer uniform. Some nights were brighter, some darker. Activities shifted subtly. Travel felt easier under brighter moons. Rest felt deeper under darker ones. Again, no counting, just noticing. These observations slowly accumulated. Memory linked them together. Humans remembered that certain times brought abundance. Others brought scarcity. Time became associated with expectation, not schedule but likelihood. This is a key difference. Expectation does not create pressure. It creates readiness. Pressure comes later. At this stage, time was still generous. No one felt late. If the sun had not yet reached a certain position, there was nothing to do but wait. And waiting was not empty. It was filled with listening, watching, being present. This kind of waiting is very different from modern waiting. Modern waiting feels uncomfortable because time is measured. Here, time was observed. Observed time does not hurry. As humans began to rely more on seasonal food, time awareness deepened. Certain plants appeared only after long waits. Certain animals returned only after months. This required memory across time. People began to speak about what had happened before, not in dates, but in reference. After the long rains, before the cold winds, when the days were shortest, time was described through events. This anchored memory. Memory anchored identity. Humans began to locate themselves in a larger cycle, not just day and night, but year and return. This expanded sense of time changed behavior. Preparation became possible, not exact preparation, but directional preparation. Knowing winter would come meant gathering more. Knowing light would return meant enduring darkness. Time became something humans trusted. This trust is important. When time is trusted, the body relaxes. There is no need to force outcomes. The sun will rise. The season will turn. This belief is deeply calming. It shaped early human psychology. Even today, many people feel calmer in natural rhythms. Watching daylight fade, watching shadows move. These experiences reconnect us to this earlier relationship with time. As this second part comes to a close, it is enough to hold this idea. Before humans measured time, they learned to wait. Not anxiously, not impatiently, but attentively. They watched shadows lengthen. They felt seasons change. And through that watching, time slowly became something they could understand. In the next part, we will step into the night, into firelight, into shared evenings, a moment when time was no longer just observed, but shared. For now, you can let the sense of waiting remain. Quiet, open, just as it once was. As humans learned to watch the sun and wait through seasons, another shift was already changing how time was experienced. Night before fire, night was simple but demanding. When darkness arrived, vision narrowed, movement slowed. The body became cautious. Night was not a time for activity, it was a time for stillness. Sleep came early, not because it was planned, but because there was little else to do. Time at night felt long but empty. Then fire appeared, not all at once, not everywhere, but gradually. Fire did something unusual. It extended the day. Light remained after the sun had gone. Warmth stayed nearby. This changed the meaning of night. Darkness no longer meant the end of awareness. It became a different kind of time. Firelight created a small island of visibility. Inside that circle, faces could still be seen. Hands could still move. Time did not stop when the sun set. It softened. This is where shared time truly began. Before fire, time was mostly individual. Each body followed its own rhythms of fatigue and rest. With fire, people stayed awake together. Not late into the night at first, but longer than before. This mattered. When people remain awake together, time becomes social. Moments are experienced collectively. Silence is shared. Sounds are shared. Attention settles inward. Fire also changed how the body felt at night. Cold had demanded alertness. Fire reduced that demand. Muscles relaxed more easily. Breathing slowed. Sleep could arrive gradually rather than suddenly. This created a gentle transition between wakefulness and rest. That transition is important. Abrupt endings create tension. Gradual fading creates calm. Fire introduced fading. Time no longer had sharp edges. It became layered. There was daytime time, twilight time, fire time, sleep time. Each phase flowed into the next. This layered time trained the nervous system. The body learned that endings did not have to be immediate. That awareness could dim slowly. Firelight also encouraged repetition. Every evening, fire was built again. People gathered again. The same gestures repeated. This repetition created rhythm. Rhythm calms the brain. The predictability of evenings made nights feel safer. Safe nights allow deeper rest. Fire also changed storytelling. Not stories as we know them, but memory spoken aloud. People referenced past events. They pointed. They gestured. These shared memories tied moments together. Time became narrative, not just sequence, but meaning. Meaning stretches time. A remembered event feels closer. A repeated story feels present again. This is another way time slowed. Firelight created a space where time could be revisited. This is still true today. People often feel calmer near soft light in the evening. Candles, lamps, fireplaces, these are echoes. The body remembers what firelight once meant. Safety, presence, shared awareness. Fire also influenced sleep timing. Instead of sleeping immediately after dark, humans delayed rest slightly. Sleep shifted later, but because evenings were warmer and calmer, sleep quality improved. The body rested more fully. Time spent asleep became more efficient. This balance mattered. Longer wakefulness did not reduce rest. It refined it. Fire and night together taught humans how to manage time intentionally without measuring it. They did not count hours. They sensed phases. The glow faded. Eyes grew heavy. Bodies leaned inward. Sleep arrived naturally. Time did not need instruction. It guided itself. This stage is important because it marks the first time humans shaped time rather than simply responding to it. Not through control, but through environment. Fire did not tell time. It changed how time felt, and feeling time differently changes behavior deeply. As this part comes to a close, it is enough to hold this image. A small fire, people sitting quietly, light flickering. No rush to sleep, no rush to wake, just shared presence as night deepens gently around them. In the next part, we will see how time began to be counted, how seasons turned into calendars, how waiting turned into planning. For now, you can let the fire fade slowly, time once again, softening as it passes. For a long time, time was felt, watched, and shared. It followed light. It followed seasons. It followed warmth and rest. Nothing needed to be counted. But as humans began to rely more heavily on the land, another shift occurred. Staying in one place changed how time was experienced. Hunting and gathering allowed flexibility. If food was scarce, people moved. But farming required patience. Seeds placed in the ground did not respond immediately. They required waiting. Days passed with no visible change. Then, slowly, growth appeared. This waiting demanded memory across longer spans, not just night to morning, but month to month. Time became something that needed tracking. At first, this tracking was simple. People noticed the return of certain stars. They watched the sun rise at slightly different points on the horizon. They remembered how many moons passed between planting and harvest. These observations turned cycles into references, not numbers yet, but markers. After 3 full moons, when the sun rises farthest north, when shadows are shortest, time began to acquire structure. This structure made planning possible. Planning reduced uncertainty, but it also introduced expectation. Expectation subtly changes how time feels. When an outcome is expected, waiting gains tension. Before, waiting was open. Now, it moved towards something specific. This is an important change. Time began to lean forward. Calendars emerged slowly, not as sheets or pages, but as shared understanding. Certain days mattered more than others. Planting days, harvest days, cold days. These days were remembered and anticipated. Time became social agreement. Once time is agreed upon, it can be counted. Counting makes time portable. You no longer need to watch the sky constantly. You can carry time in memory. This was powerful. It allowed coordination across groups, but it also introduced abstraction. Time became something separate from sensation. Instead of feeling hunger rise, people began to eat at set moments. Instead of resting when tired, people rested when the day ended. The body adapted, but not without cost. Abstract time moves evenly. The body does not. This mismatch created strain. The more time was measured, the more it could be divided. Days split into parts, seasons into segments. Time became something that could be lost, wasted, or saved. This language matters. Once time becomes a resource, it carries weight. Urgency enters. This does not happen suddenly. It accumulates. People begin to feel behind, ahead, on schedule. These sensations were new. The nervous system, shaped for cycles, had to respond to lines. Firelight once softened evenings. Calendars sharpened them. Deadlines replaced sunsets. Stillness became suspicious. Waiting felt unproductive. Yet the body remained the same. It still preferred gradual transitions. It still needed rest that followed fatigue, not instruction. This tension did not break human life. It reshaped it. Structures emerged to manage time. Routines, rituals, rules. These provided predictability. Predictability calms uncertainty, but it also narrows freedom. Time became something to manage. As societies grew, time measurement became more precise. Days were divided further. Hours emerged. Eventually, minutes. Each division increased control and increased pressure. This stage marks a turning point. Time was no longer only something humans lived inside. It was something they stood apart from, observed, counted, directed. This brought incredible coordination, but it also changed how time felt internally. The body began to hurry even when nothing chased it. This internal hurry still exists. As this part comes to a close, it is enough to notice this shift. Time moved from sky to symbol, from sensation to system. In the next part, we will step fully into the modern world, a place where time surrounds us everywhere, yet often feels scarce. For now, you can let the idea rest. There was a moment long ago when time did not push. It simply passed, and the body remembers that. The final stage of human timekeeping does not arrive with invention. It arrives with saturation. In the modern world, time is everywhere. It is on walls, on screens, in pockets. Numbers follow us constantly. Hours are announced. Minutes are counted. Seconds disappear quickly. And yet, the body that moves through this world is very old. It did not evolve to track seconds. It evolved to sense light, fatigue, and safety. This creates a quiet mismatch. Modern time moves evenly. The body does not. Some days feel long. Some pass quickly. This difference is not imagination. It is biology responding to meaning. When attention is engaged, time expands. When attention is fragmented, time contracts. Clocks do not reflect this. They continue steadily. This contrast creates tension. People often feel rushed even when nothing urgent is happening. This is not because time has sped up. It is because attention has been divided. The ancient system that once tracked shadows now responds to notifications. The body still looks for cues. Light remains one of the strongest. Morning light tells the body to wake. Evening darkness tells it to slow, but artificial light blurs these signals. Night feels less distinct. Day feels less grounded. Time loses its texture. Sleep often carries the cost. When light and time conflict, the body hesitates. Rest becomes shallower. Waking feels abrupt. This is not failure. It is adjustment under pressure. Despite all measurement, the body still uses its original clocks. Hormones rise and fall. Energy cycles repeat. These rhythms persist even when ignored. This persistence is a gift. It means the body can still return to calm. Even in a world of constant time signals, natural time remains accessible. Moments of stillness help. Watching the sky change color, sitting in dim light, letting fatigue arrive naturally. These moments reconnect the body to its earlier relationship with time. Modern tools are not enemies, they are extensions. But extensions work best when the core system is respected, when rest follows tiredness, when meals follow hunger, when sleep follows darkness. These patterns are ancient. They do not require precision. They require permission. Time does not need to be conquered. It does not need to be managed aggressively. It can be allowed. This is not advice. It is observation. Human bodies are calmer when time feels spacious. Spacious time is not about having more hours. It is about reducing internal resistance. As this series comes to a close, there is nothing you need to remember. No techniques, no strategies, only a gentle awareness. Time was once sky and shadow, then fire and waiting, then calendars and numbers. Now it is everywhere. But inside the body, time still moves the old way, through light, through rest, through attention. And as you rest now, you do not need to measure this moment. You can simply let it pass. Just as humans once did under open skies with no numbers at all.